Welcome to another video. For everyone who's new, hi, I'm Ollie. I'm a writer. I'm currently working on my first book, which is a science fantasy story. So yeah, today is Saturday. I did virtually all of the writing I did this week on Monday, and I think I did about 1,200 words, which was really good for one day. But if I want to finish the first draft by October the 14th, which I do, then I need to be doing about 500 words a day, 555 words a day. Precisely. So obviously 1,200 words in a week is not quite going to cut it. Things just kind of took over this week, as they do. I had to focus quite a lot on work things, but also I took the whole of Wednesday off, which I wasn't originally planning to, because Rosie and I went to Birmingham. We live quite near Birmingham, and so we knew that that was the day that the Ozzy Osbourne's funeral procession was going to go through the city, and we just kind of felt like we should go. We kind of had to be there. It was an amazing day, actually. We went there quite early, and we went to stand by the barriers which were lining the street which went through the centre of Birmingham, and there were all kinds of people around us. There were people who'd come from America, even LA, just to be there. And yeah, everyone was kind of in this mood of, it was obviously people were sad, but it kind of felt like kind of celebratory as well. We couldn't really get near Black Sabbath Bridge before the procession, because that's where people had camped out like overnight to be there, and there were just thousands of people there. But we were down the street, and we could just about see it round the corner. We were standing there for about 45 minutes to an hour or so, just sort of waiting. And then we could hear this brass band from down the street playing Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne songs. And we could hear people cheering, and the cheering was getting nearer. And then pretty shortly afterwards, the actual hearse came right past us, and we could see Ozzy in purple flowers. And yeah, it was kind of a strange feeling. Everyone around us, we all got very emotional quickly, and it was like a wave that followed it. And it mostly kind of just felt like a celebration, which was really nice. We managed to get to Black Sabbath Bridge when the crowds had cleared a bit, and look at some of the things that people had left. And we also went to sign the Book of Condolence, which was in the main museum in the centre of Birmingham. All the buildings, all the restaurants and bars and things, they were all playing Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne. But yeah, it was just kind of an amazing vibe in the whole city. Obviously sad, but also like a celebration, which was nice. So yeah, it was very much an Ozzy Osbourne day, and it took up the whole day, so we didn't get back until quite late at night. We're both glad that we went, but it does mean that I missed out on a day of writing, which I wasn't planning on. So that's a day that I need to catch up on as well. And the rest of the week has just been full of, usual work and things, but stuff that I need to catch up on, or there was just more of it than I sort of thought there would be, and I just hadn't planned it very well. So today is Saturday, and I really want to catch up on as much of the writing that I missed as possible. I'm lucky that I made a good start on Monday, because that's 1,100, 1,200 words in the bank. So if I can do that again today, I won't quite have made up entirely, but I'll be happy that I did almost all of it. There are other days and other weeks that I have done way more writing anyway, so I'm roughly on track no matter what, so I'm not worrying too much about it. If you watch the last videos, you'll see that I had been struggling with a big hole in the middle of the book that I had discovered, which is basically an entire missing chapter that at some point, months or even years ago, I had decided, I don't know what to do now, this is too difficult, I'm going to leave it and then come back to it some other time. And so reading back on things, it's like the writing just dropped off a cliff, almost mid-sentence, and I didn't quite know what to do about it. So I went back and filled in that chapter, and I'm really glad that I have done, because now I feel like it feels like a straight line to the finish now, basically. I'm probably making it sound way simpler than it's going to be, but I'm really pleased that now I can just, forge ahead. I feel like when you're drafting a story, and especially you're writing a part of the story that you haven't written before, as in you haven't gone back and redrafted, I kind of feel like it can kind of go one of two ways. There's the classic thing of people being afraid of a blank page, because it's just, it's this nothingness staring back at you, basically, and you're like, oh God, I've got to come up with something. Or you can be, relishing it and thinking, oh, I can't wait to get to this bit, or I can't wait to write about this character that I've been thinking about for so long. And I think when you're faced with a blank page, whichever of those two things that you feel is quite telling on how you feel about the story and how you feel about how your writing is going in general. And so I'm quite encouraged, because at the moment I feel the second option, which is I just can't wait to get going with it. Even though I don't know all the details, I know it's been bubbling away in there somewhere, and I know if I just get down to it, it'll just kind of happen and come out. And as I was saying in the last video as well, there's something about just stewing on a story for so long where I know that it's got good bones, you know, and I know that there are plot threads and character arcs and themes, and they're still all up in the air, but I can see how they're all going to land. And the more I write on, the more sense it all starts to make. So I can't wait to see how this next part turns out. So yeah, I think I'm going to finish my coffee and I'm going to, I think, head out. Don't quite know where I'm going to go. Unfortunately, my favourite cafe, which has featured several times in my whole videos, my favourite cafe has closed down. But yeah, I'll find somewhere. So I'm going to down this and then we can go out. Okay, hi, it's tomorrow. Really good writing session yesterday. You know, so I was saying I wanted to make up for the days when I didn't have time to do any writing this week. And I did that almost exactly to the letter. It was one of those days when I just sort of sat down, took a minute or two to get into the zone, the frame of mind, and I just kept writing for like a couple hours straight. So normally on a good day, I do about 700 or 800 words, maybe a bit more if things are going well. But yesterday I did 1,600 words. Just a little bit more than 1,600. So that's really good. And actually, it means that I almost exactly to the word made up for the lost words that I didn't do in the week, if that makes sense. So because on Monday I did quite a lot, I did 1,100 words, and yesterday I did 1,600 words. I basically did my whole week's word count anyway, even though I missed out on sort of 3 days of writing. When something like that happens, it's just really satisfying. And again, I feel like it's because I have such momentum in the story at the moment. And it's just going really well. I'm really enjoying it. I'm in a really good place with it at the moment. Okay, now onto the new feature that I started last week, which I'm still calling Art Fuel. I'm still not entirely happy with the name, but whatever. I'm just going to go with it now. Here's Art Fuel. So basically, this is all about thinking back over the last week and thinking about something that I might have seen or read or watched that I found inspiring. You know, it sort of fueled my creativity. Hence why it's called Art Fuel. So obviously I feel like this week a lot of my mind has still been taken up with a lot of the Ozzy Osbourne stuff, especially going to see his funeral procession. But because I spoke about him last week, I think I wanted to choose something else. So this is going to maybe seem a little bit random and out of left field a little bit, but just bear with me while I explain, okay? So basically I'm going to talk about a Minecraft video that I watched, okay? So I just finished watching a new video on YouTube put out by the user called Ish. I will put a link to the video down below. He's sort of known for doing these really long form videos where they're all about dropping in sort of 500 or 1,000 people into a giant Minecraft world and letting them sort of form their own societies and seeing what happens over a period of a couple of weeks or so. So he basically set up 2 massive islands, one island which is really rich with resources and another island which is the opposite. It's really sort of sparse and bare. And he dropped 1,000 people, so 500 people per island into this world. And I'm not going to go into all the details because it was like a 2.5 hour long video. I did watch it over a few days. I didn't do it all in one go. But basically what happens throughout I think it's 10 days that it's running for, is that people sort of form into factions and they create their own nations. And some people just go and live off on their own in like the woods. And there's all kinds of like political intrigue that goes on. If you've never watched a Minecraft video, this might all sound ridiculous because it's just Minecraft, but I was totally hooked. There are people who start out as kind of sort of farmers in the first sort of day of the game, and either through sort of cunning planning or through sort of random chance, they kind of ascend to ruling their own nations or kingdoms or whatever. And there's just so much drama. But why am I mentioning it in a writing vlog? Well, as I was watching this video, I suddenly realized I was totally hooked, and it felt like I was watching Game of Thrones, maybe like early season Game of Thrones, you know, when it was still good. The stories that were being generated in this world was so sort of in-depth, and there was like betrayal and sacrifice, and the way everything is edited, and I think this is a crucial thing, the way it's all edited makes it feel like you're watching sort of a movie or like a HBO drama or something sometimes. And the reason why I'm mentioning it here is because it really made me think about how you can construct stories and how you can, it's really all about character development, which I'm thinking a lot about that at the moment because I'm literally writing a book. But there was one character in particular. He started out as just this peaceful sort of Tom Bombadil type guy who just didn't want to get involved in any of the politics and lived on his own in the woods. And because he was so not power hungry, everyone else in the world sort of trusted on him to sort of mediate the arguments between everyone. And because of that, some people, the more power hungry types who wanted to set up their own empires, used him, and he went through this amazing kind of journey throughout these I think it's 10 days. Yeah, he ends up in a totally different place to where you would think he was going to be at the beginning of the video. So yeah, it actually made me consider the whole process of how you build a character and how you put a character through certain trials in your story and experiences so that they come out changed at the end, which I realize I'm just describing what a story is, but it's good to think about these things. It just kind of reminded me that inspiration can come from literally anywhere. We should all be always on the lookout, always paying attention to life around us, because even a video about Minecraft on YouTube can be like an actual inspiration. I recommend people watch, even if you're not into Minecraft, it's quite a fun couple of hours. You can watch it over a few days or whatever. Yeah, it's good. It's kind of ridiculous. It's quite funny, but it's really dramatic sometimes. And it's amazing how sucked in you can get to the relationships between the different characters and the different players. I think I will put the link below. And that's my art fuel for the week. So yeah, I'm going into next week on a bit of a high in terms of writing. It's going really well. I think, every time I write a chapter, it ends up being more better than I thought it was going to be. More better. I promise I speak worse than I write. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Happy writing, everyone. Happy reading. Don't forget to like, share, comment, say hi to me. That's always fun. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell to be notified whenever I put up a new video. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next video. Bye.